Greetings, friends, and for our foes, well, it's nice to see you too, buddies. Aztec for Life, Steve Perez with Lewis Weiner, and another edition of Aztecs All In. We're a couple of Aztec alums and longtime media types dedicating this podcast to being all in on anything related to San Diego State University Aztec athletics. Say hello to the friends and foes out there in podcast land, Lewis.
Hello, everybody in podcast land. Steve, good to hear your voice, and I'm looking forward to some football. We are getting close, aren't we?
Yep, still kicking out a little bit of the dust behind the ears from the parking lot venture out there in purple. It's not too long before we start hearing the popping of the pads for real, Lewis. Head football coach Brady Hoke talks about the team following Saturday's scrimmage, as we are now getting awful close to First Judgment Day of August 26th in Ohio University at Snapdragon. Also, a few more tidbits from the players who were made available after the scrimmage under the lights. We will dig into some trench work, elements of the Aztec offensive line with Coach Mike Goff. Also, we'll be looking down the schedule a little bit because the Aztecs do have a kickoff luncheon coming up for football if you want to get in on that. And look at some other events at Snapdragon Stadium involving the kicking of the football. So, with that, Lewis, let's get on up into this show. How about it?
Let's do it. You know, that sounds so good. I'm going to sign off and go listen to that episode. And then, no, actually, we haven't recorded that episode.
Oh, really?
We're doing that now.
I'm not in particularly good voice today.
What I want to talk to you about is the scrimmage, right? It was exciting. Not a lot of fans, Steve, right? 1,500 people. And we could talk long and hard about how they maybe market the event and how you maybe get more people in there. But once the football started, I think the offense showed a lot of positive things, as did the defense. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking that it was very encouraging to see the offense come out firing. They obviously had, a set of plays that they were trying to run, and most of them worked out very well. So that's a plus. As Cody Moon commented on afterward, yeah, the defense, maybe they didn't react as well to that. And that's a situation when you're opening up a game for real. If you're on defense in the beginning and you can't get off the field, as the Aztecs were unable to in that first drive in the home opener last year on national TV against Arizona, and that's an issue. So obviously they were looking at that and still assessing. It's a work in progress still. We're halfway through the fall camp season. 2 more weeks left to work on it and get it right.
Absolutely. And Coach Hoke is working hard to get everybody up to speed before that first game, Steve.
That's right. And he had we've put together a compilation of his post-scrimmage assessment that we'll play for you now.
I think there's still some things fundamentally we got to get done, as a team. And then I think some of the younger guys who have earned some time, they've got to probably master the playbook in the kicking game and offense and defense a little better. I think we're improved. I think the development that we're looking for, I think the running back room's a good room for us, when you look at the different guys who touch the ball. So that part of it, I think Moose has improved and he's getting better. I think he's got a little more confidence in his play. And then I think the defensive line's probably about where we thought it would be right now, and that's a work in progress. I don't know if anybody jumped out per se. I think Keenan, he did some really good things that the other day he didn't make the same cut in the hole that he did. And he did today, and, it sprung him. So, there's some stuff like that. I think our tight end position, as we continue, I think that's going to be a good position for us.
So those were his comments immediately after the game. We will be making it to practice later this week to see if we can find out more because, of course, they had to review the film. Maybe we won't hear some of that because a lot of that's probably going to be between the coaches and the position players so they can work on as opposed to discussing all that out in the media. But again, that was the first blush after the game immediately, and they may be having an entirely different take after looking at the film.
Sounds like a plan to me. At this point, I think the strength of the football team offensively are the running back situation. And all three of the running backs who played most of the scrimmage, Keenan Christian, Jalen Armstead, and Cam Davis, looked really good. They looked fast. They looked quick. They caught the ball well. They moved through the line of scrimmage well. And I think that is a positive. I think that's what the strength of this team is at the moment.
You know, and Brady Hoke did mention Balin Brooks, who basically got his first real good look in a scrimmage, I guess, after nursing a bit of an injury. He's a freshman, but he's already said that he thinks Brooks could help at wide receiver, where the Aztecs have, some question marks after losing 2 starters. So that'll be interesting to see how he progresses throughout the season. Also, it was encouraging to see Penny with a big catch at the outset and making an effort to get another one. So, the receivers position you would probably describe it as being unsettled, but there are elements and there are people in that room who have skills.
Yeah, when you mention Brooks to Hoke, his eyes light up. I think he realizes that Brooks is really, really good and could add a lot to the offense. After the scrimmage, we had a chance to talk to a couple of the players, Jalen, Mayden, and Cody Moon, about how they felt the scrimmage went.
It felt good to get back out there around fans and stuff. Like scrimmages at practice, you kind of just around coaches and you guys, so it's a little bit quiet, but it was nice to have the fans and the stadium and the lights and everything. It was situational, but it wasn't as scripted as it normally is. I felt like him asking me what play I wanted to start with and just being able to get into a flow of the game instead of just having 3 plays and now the next group's getting in. Like I said, just being able to feel the flow of the game, you get more reps. It's hard when you just get 2 plays and then you're off on the sideline for the next 8, or you just, you know what I'm saying? So, the longer we're on the field, the longer you can get the grasp of, what's going on and being able to either take shots or get back to your check downs, but you're in that rhythm. I feel like everybody stepped up, so we don't have to rely on just one guy to kind of make one or 2 guys that make the key plays. We can kind of distribute the ball around, so. Fleet, Bree, everybody's pretty much stepped up and has shown that at any time they can get the ball and make something work.
I feel like I made some good plays out there. I also feel like there's a lot of room to improve. I feel like there was a couple plays I left out on the field, and I just need to work on my technique over these next couple weeks before we play Ohio, and I'll be ready to go by then. We set this all up like we want it to be, like we're playing Ohio. We kind of try to do it the whole day like it's game day. We tried to do yesterday like pregame, and so we wanted to make it as game-like as possible so we can kind of get into the routine before game 1 actually comes. The offense came out today. You got to give it to them. They made plays, we made plays, and in my opinion, they made more plays. Those first 2 drives, they definitely made more plays than us, which leaves a lot of room for us to improve. We got to come out stronger at the point of attack and just play more downhill and not let them in the end zone.
An important element of the Aztecs' efforts at trying to actually win a conference title for the first time since 2016 is the line play. And we had a chance to talk a little bit with the offensive line coach, Mike Goff, and one of his key players, Cade Bennett. Lewis, do you ever pay much attention to the offensive line?
When I'm watching a football game, I'm looking at the quarterback, I'm looking at the running backs, the wide receivers. Honestly, I'm not I never played football, so I'm not big on the move of the offensive, but I know how important they are, right? You can't move the ball unless you have a good offensive line. I know that much.
So, Lewis, when your team's on the field, offense or defense, all eyes are on the football and the guy in charge of it behind center. Who's got the football? Where's he going with it? Your guy's got it. Heading to the goal line. Yes. Wait a minute. That guy's not on your side. He's heading to the other side's goal line. No. Get him. And then afterwards, fans and media focus on the QB stats, the completions, the TD passes, the offensive playmakers. But if you really want to understand and gain insight into what's happening on a football field, keep an eye up front. Aztecs head coach Brady Hoke's been around the game a long time. He knows.
Yeah, believe me, the game starts there, on both sides of the ball. And, being a defensive line coach, my favorite guys are the offensive linemen. And they don't believe me when I say that, but they are, because if they're doing their job, we're going to be a pretty good football team.
There it is. Control the line of scrimmage, and your side dictates to the opposition how it must react. Get opponents on their heels, and you're that much closer to imposing your will and winning the game. And remember, Lewis, remember what former Aztecs DB and NFL coach Herm Edwards says about that?
You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game.
We check in now with offensive line coach Mike Goff to see if Hoke's ever told his guys they are actually his favorites on the team. Well, turns out Goff has a great sense of humor. So he starts us out with a little bit of a counterpoint to this idea of offensive linemen and defensive linemen being all buddy-buddy.
Well, I don't know if a defensive lineman really likes an offensive lineman, but in this instance, I agree with that. I think that when you look at offensive line play, our part of our job is controlling the line of scrimmage and taking up time, because the thing I know about this defense is a well-rested defense is a really good defense. And I think that as you convey that to your offensive linemen and they understand the importance of staying out in the field, getting drives, it'll make the game go easier because you're wearing down the defense. So I get it from that standpoint.
It's year 3 as offensive line coach, says Goff. So, yeah, he's heard it for 3 years. Cade Bennett, preseason conference pick at one of the guard spots on offense. What about your head coach being one of your unit's biggest fans?
Did he express that to you?
Oh, yeah, always. I mean, he's a big D-line guy, but, he's got a soft spot for all the big boys, so, it's good. It's good to have a head coach like that who's always working with the trenches.
Now, for those who have not been paying attention, the college football landscape has changed, and not just that process called realignment. Now players can collect hard cash for their name, image, and likeness. That, combined with the transfer portal that lets players compete for their new school right away after the first move, it's hit the Aztecs O-line, leaving coaches with the task of recruiting players who may be able to plug any number of holes on the O-line. As a result, this season the line's been described as young. Goff selling pitches to stick around. He has spent 12 years in the NFL, and the idea is coaching you up if that is your goal. In turn, the ideal Aztecs recruit at offensive line may have to learn a number of positions.
Everyone has a long-term goal of making it to the NFL, and the one thing I've learned from my time in there is that the more you can do, the harder it is for them to cut you. And if you can play multiple positions and you can play them well, that just makes, in the eyes of the NFL, you a more attractive prospect or draft pick, whatever it should be. So cross-training is key. Obviously, you got a guy that's really long and might be a little light. That's hard. You don't want to throw him at the guard spot, obviously. But when you're doing recruiting, you kind of look at the tackle who can go play guard, the guard who can go play tackle, or the guard who can go play center, and center who can play some guard. So you really want to try to find those athletes who can do multiple things, not just fit one role.
Bennett, a junior transfer himself out of Oklahoma State, he gets that.
Yeah, I could play any of the interior positions if I needed to. They like me at left guard right now, and I'm happy to play that. I'm happy to play right, even center if they needed me. So
center, that's an important spot as well. Can you talk about some of the players who are tackling that position and what a challenge that is?
Oh, yeah. Those guys, they got a real disadvantage. The ball is... They got the hand right next to the ball. You got to hit them with your offhand. It's a lot. I don't want to say lucky to be playing guard, but, I enjoy playing guard. But, if I had to play center, I'd do it for the team, and I'd figure it out and get it done.
Bennett understands why some may describe his unit as young, but he also says a number of players have started games and have grown closer overall as a unit. He refuses to use the group's relative inexperience as an excuse.
Some people just hadn't experienced this level of ball yet, and it was just a gelling thing too. We were a lot of new guys. I transferred there. We were just kind of gelling as a unit.
It's a fact, Goff says this is the youngest offensive line group by far in his 9 years as a coach. That includes a prior stint with the Aztecs as a volunteer assistant in 2010 and 2011. That includes number 70, Christian Jones. He's a redshirt sophomore out of San Luis Obispo. He may be young, but stands as an imposing figure and stands out among the offensive linemen at 6'9", listed at 315 pounds. Now seeing regular action at tackle. Meantime, a coach like Goff is trying to get such physical specimens to step up to the next level, which requires more than high school habits of relying on one's size and strength. Not always an easy task.
Our job as an offensive lineman is, like it or not, the game falls on us. If the quarterback gets sacked, that's on us, regardless of what, whether it's a cover sack or whatnot, that still falls on us. And that is the thing that we have to take pride in, and we have to understand the importance of our role. I've always been a firm believer that if we don't go, the team doesn't go. Regardless of who's the quarterback, who's running the ball, who's catching the ball, that is not our job. We are the protector of the skilled players, and we have to take that job serious. If we don't, it just doesn't work. So, again, having them understand the importance of them and understand their role in what our system is. They're not the ones who are going to be on the front page with a big win. It might be a little blurb, but you know sure as heck that if it's a bad game, all right, it works from the front back, and we got to understand that. And our job is to do the best every time we can.
It can be frustrating to a coach at times when their efforts to teach seem to fall on deaf ears.
As a coach, you get frustrated and your beard gets really white and you don't know what's receding faster, the ice caps or the pigment in your beard, but it's football.
It also takes a special kind of Aztec to get something out of the never-ending work of training to be a next-level offensive lineman. Bennett says he's learned to appreciate Goff's next-level approach.
Coach Goff's been awesome. I mean, he's really good about training my eyes, I think that's what he helped a lot. O-line is so much seeing so many different movements and things happening all around you. And he really helped me train my eyes, to be very disciplined. And he's also just a good mentor to us. He's not going to let us slack. He knows our potential. He sets a bar for us, and if we fall below that bar, he's not going to be happy with us. So, he's a great coach.
Goff, like many of the Aztec coaches, displays a great enthusiasm for the game, and that enthusiasm shines through during a football practice when he's trying to get through to his guys on the field. It also comes through when he talks about those guys who have emerged to this point.
You can't take away from the leadership that Cade Bennett, Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon, and Ross Masayuli have brought. I think Miles Morale, coming from UW, he has really embraced the culture. He's from just up in Torrance. He's embraced the culture. He's embraced the opportunity to come compete for a starting job. I think that's Dean Abdullah, who last year was a guy who came to camp, I think 3 days before camp started, just how he's emerged. You got a couple young tackles who are trying to get it figured out, and Drew has a party, and Christian Jones. Tommy Mirabella's been here a while, and he's starting to understand the importance of his role and what it's going to take to get on the field. So that's just to name a few, but overall I think that they've embraced what we're trying to get accomplished and are really starting to hopefully gain that confidence. So when we do tee it off against Ohio on August 26th, they go out there and have fun. They have confidence in what it's going to be a tremendous test. Ohio's an unbelievable, proud MAC program. And the one thing growing up in the Midwest, you know how the MAC feels about their football. That's their baby. All right, and we know that it's going to be a tough test, and they got a bunch of seniors, and we got young guys, so it'll be a good test for us.
In fact, Goff says he actually misses playing the game and tries to get his players to recognize what a special experience it is to be among an elite group of young men in just 133 Division I football programs, playing the game in a country of more than 330 million people. Plus, they're in the red and black of the San Diego State Aztecs. That's got to count for something even more.
Aztec football fans can hear a whole lot more about this year's football team at the kickoff luncheon, which is on August 22nd at 11:30 a.m. The cost is $55. Coach Hoke will be there, and I'm sure some of the other coaches will be talking. So those of you who are really into football, that's where you should be.
I'm checking my schedule to see if I'm going to be able to make that in town, and hopefully I can.
Well, I hope you can make it as well. I want to tell you about a few other things before we go. Soccer, it's been huge at Snapdragon this summer. A lot of big matches and a lot of fans. The San Diego State men and women's soccer teams are both going to be playing at Snapdragon Stadium this season. The women's team will host USD on September 14th at 7 p.m., and the men will host USD on October 14th at 7:30 p.m. Tickets are $10, but parking, Steve, in the purple, orange, or green, all free of charge for those soccer matches.
You know, that might help attendance at the Aztecs football night. Well, that's something them to decide about. Yep, yes, sir. You know, I was going to check out one other thing before we went, Lewis, and I am the proud subscriber to Aztec Link, which is that name, image, and likeness program that we got an episode out of with J.R. Tolver. I'm sitting here looking at my Aztec Link NIL. I'm logged into their portal, and I have achieved Spear status. And
okay,
I'll take a look at the rundown of SDSU football news. There's links here to the football schedule. There's links to Instagram and the Twitter. And shoot, they had some great looking hype video up there from somewhere, and I missed it. Maybe it was on the Twitter. Wherever it was cool. It was a great hype video involving the troops hitting the field at Snapdragon. So it was a lot of fun. Aztec Link, it's cool, and I am happy and pleased as punch to be a member.
I should be a member. I think you guilted me. Not that I shouldn't anyway, but I will join. The next time
here's the thing. J.R. Tolver's a pretty imposing guy, so maybe we need to have him next time we see him put the shoulder on, the hand on the shoulder, rub a little bit, squeeze it a little bit and say, ho, 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 Lewis. He is a friend.
He is a friend to Aztecs All In, so we love JR and everything that he stands for with NIL.
Well, someone once said, sorry to interrupt one more time, but someone once said, I think it was underwater guy, Howard Hall, said, the sincerest form of appreciation is a check.
The check is in the mail, so to speak. And with that is it for this edition of Aztecs All In. Thanks so much for listening. You can subscribe and follow us wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. You can also contact us at aztecsallin@gmail.com and follow us on X, formerly Twitter, Aztecs_all_in. For Steve Perez, I'm Louis Weiner. Until next time on Aztecs All In, we'll see you then.